Hi guys, welcome back to another video of the YouTube channel. I'm Akshansh and today we are going to do day 4 assignment of the 5-day AI agent intensive course, and today the unit is 4 and we are going to talk about agent quality today. So if you haven't yet, please consider watching the YouTube podcast, companion podcast, and reading the agent quality white paper. They go in depth about this topic, and yeah, it will really help you increase your enhance your knowledge or build your foundations. Yeah, whatever you can think of it, expect from it. So yeah, let's move to our Codelabs, I guess. And the first one is implement observability to help you debug your agents. Okay, so let's just open it and I'll explain what observability means here. Just a second. Let's click on the copy and edit feature. We can close our old tab and let's just wait for it to load. Okay, so it has loaded finally, and we have our title agent observability, logs, traces, and metrics. So let me just explain to you what we are going to do in this 4A notebook. So firstly, we will be discussing about observability. Just a second. Just a second. How do I fix this? Let me just refresh my mind. Yes. So we are going to talk about observability, and it basically has three major steps, or you can say three major steps. That would be the right definition for it. Three steps that observability has. And if you ask me what it is, so it is basically us trying to observe our agent. For example, there's a great example given here. For example, user asked our agent about finding some quantum computing papers, and our agent couldn't do it yet. It wasn't trained to do this, and we, as the owner of the agent, were like, "Why is it? What is wrong?" Now, this is our challenge or problem statement. We are unable to identify where our agent is failing at, and that is, my friends, where observability comes in hand. And the solution for it basically is, of course, to implement agent observability. Okay, I again ruined it. Let it be. Let it be. Okay, so what it does is it basically has three major steps, as you can see here. The first one is logs, which basically logs every step that is happening to our agent. For example, every event. For example, user sends an input to find a research paper that we were doing here, and then it goes to Google. Okay, Google, it will have to use Google search tool for it, but there, at that exact step, the error pops up, and we will call this tracing. Basically, that we were checking the logs, all the each event that was recorded, and we traced finally that Google search tool was missing that was causing this. And then we can also analyze this statistically as matrix, basically some random numbers, that how many times this error occurred, or were we able to fix it or not. And just for analogy, you can think of it as logs are basically heartbeats of a patient or a normal person, and traces will be their past health reports that we can use with side by side of our heartbeats to analyze what's wrong. And metrics would be the percentage of survival of the particular hospital where our patient is admitted. Okay, so yep, and this is basically what we are going to learn in this notebook that I just explained to you. And if you're not doing this assignment on Kaggle, you can run this, but we are on Kaggle, so yeah, let's just move ahead. Okay, so here they are asking for our API key. Let's just go to add-ons. Okay, we don't see it yet. We just run it for once and it will appear it here. Okay, so okay, tap on okay. We should see it now. Just a second. Secret, yeah, you have to check mark it. And yep, and also many people here get this authentication error. So for that, what you can do instead is you can just remove this particular line if you want, and you can hard code your API key into the code. This is only for development phase. If you put your product into production, you will have to figure out why this line is causing you errors. Maybe remove the try and accept block, or just try different stuff and see what does it for you. I'm very unsure about this because I was helping people in their Discord server, and this error was solved with a variety of changes in the code. For some people, they had to remove this try and accept block, and it just worked. For some people, we had to hard code the API key inside the code, but of course that is not a right approach. And for some, we just had to remove this whole line. Okay, so anyways, let's move ahead. Now we'll set up our logging and cleanup file. So first we'll just clean it up. So basically, if you are rerunning this notebook, so this cleaning up would help you to clean your previous logs. And after that, we will be setting up our debug log level. So what this basically does is, this is a pre-built package in Python. What it does is it creates a basic configuration that there will be a file name that will be called logger.log, and in that level will be the logging.debug. So basically debug 1, debug 2, like that. and the format of the file will be, the first will be the file name, that is logger.log, then will be the line number 1 2 3 anything, and then will be the level name, basically where our code failed at, and then will be the message, the debug message, like with what error did our code fail. So let's just configure it. And now we will have to set a proxy and tunneling. So this is basically our code from day one, if you remember the day one access Codelab or assignment, if you remember. This is basically that exact same code. What we are doing here is we are creating a helper function that will help us later on to run our ADK server on our website, so we can get a UI interface. Okay, now at this exact point also some people get error. I wasn't able to reproduce it to show you in this video, but what you can do is, if you are getting that error, that is basically Google API key not found, what you can do instead is you can basically enclose this in curly brackets and you can remove this $sign. This will work exactly the same. But yeah, if you are getting this error, then do it. But if your code just works fine with this, you can run it. Let's just see if it works or not. Also here, if you wonder why we are running this, so basically we are just creating a random research agent that will help us get some research papers from Google, of course. So yeah, it's taking quite a long time to run. Till then, let's just explore the code below it. Agent definition, next we are okay, it worked. And now let's create a root agent, and at first we'll be configuring an LLM agent container, and then a root agent will first get a prompt, and the prompt can be anything. For example, grab some search papers about quantum computing, and now it wants search paper, right? So it will pass the task of Google's of searching the papers to the Google search agent, and then the Google search agent will return the papers and count papers, basically a number of papers that will be returned to a root agent and then to user. So yeah, let's just run this for once, and this is our okay. So yeah, as you have noticed here, this they also say here, pay attention to the root agent's instruction and count papers tool parameters. So as you read here, the agent uses count paper tools to return number of papers written, right? But we are returning the number of papers, and if you want to return the number of papers as input, you must get a list. I'll just write it down what I'm trying to say here once for once. Just bear with me. Enter, and let me just put some block strings here. Yep. And tab. Okay, so first what we are going to do, we are going to invoke our function that is count papers dot. Let's just write it like that. Okay, and for that just a second, for that we'll give input. Okay, we'll give an input, and I'll just tell you what we are going to give an input. Let's first see what output we'll be getting, and that input will first run this count papers function. Okay, and then we'll get output. That would be output would be our output would be our number of papers. Now if you need number of papers, you don't need a string. What you actually need is a list that is a string of papers, right? So basically this is in a format like this is a list, and let's just call it pap1, and then you can have pap2, and just so on, right? Just commas and so on. So this is basically a list that has a string inside it. But now if you see their code, they have basically done it the wrong way. They have used string instead of list string, and this will basically give us an error later on. So we can just leave it like that for now. We want to see what error happens, and then we can come back and change it and rerun the whole process. Here we are basically configuring our Google search agent, and after that we are configuring our main root agent. This root agent has the instructions to find search papers through the Google search agent, and for that we pass our Google search agent as a tool, and later on it has the task to count the number of papers. For that we provide count papers as a tool, and then return it, which it will do, of course, return the total number of pages. And in our Google search agent we provide Google search as a tool, so it can search on Google. So let me run this for once, and yep, run the agent. And now we can just a second, let me okay. So now our link won't just work yet if you click on this blue button as written in the instructions here. First we'll have to run the code cell below it that will set up the server for us. Only then we will be able to access this UI side of our ADK, right? And also they somewhere say do not show the URL. Right, do not share the proxy URL, it contains a token in it. I saw a lot of people in the server doing so, but don't do it. I'll also put a blur on the site link. Okay, never mind, you won't be able to see the site anyways. Okay, yeah, now we have it open, and as you can see we have a session ID, user ID, and everything that we set up in the last notebook, day 3's assignment, right? And yep, our research agent is selected. What we can do is say find research papers on AI agents, right? And let's just wait for this to work. Failed to load research literal detected at line 10, agent dot file line 10, unterminated string literal detected. Okay, this shouldn't be a case. Let me just check what is wrong. Are we not following some instructions? mm, Select research agent. In the chat type find. Okay, maybe we can only find this as a input for now. Maybe our code isn't yet trained to do anything else. Okay, failed to load research agent module. Is it not selected or something? What's wrong? I don't understand. Session, we have a session here. Let's just debug it a little bit. There's nothing to debug. This is not working anything. Let me just check for once. Alright, let's just type something here for once. Unterminated string return detected at line 10 agent.py. Let's just go to agent.py, right? This is our agent.py. First, let's just delete this. Agent.py line number 10, we are getting this error, right? Is there anything in these logs that can help us? Maybe it just says from dot import agent is causing this error. Yep. Let me just see what's going on wrong here. Is it because of our doc strings? Wait, maybe it's because of the doc strings that we added. Let's just hit here. Oh yeah. Yep. Doc strings. We used the wrong syntax here. We only need to have 3 double quotes, right? Okay. Yeah. It was doomed to happen. I overlooked. You guys probably were shouting at me after seeing this. You are doing something wrong here. So yeah, we just learned a way how to debug it now. Like you can see the error somewhere and everything. And if this was unimportant to you, you can of course just skip it. Let's just wait it to run. And yeah, we also got to terminate these processes. We'll have to rerun them. Let's just terminate this. Only then it will work, right? Run this. Overwriting. Run this again. The the button won't work yet. Run this, and only then will our server be active, right? Okay, yep, it's active. Now we can go to the URL and let's do this. Let's close one of these. Yeah. Now if I try to do find me research papers on AI agents, if I do this, it should work. It's taking quite a time. Okay, yep, it did work. So first, as you can see, Google search agent was invoked and then count papers was invoked. And I am not very sure, yeah, the output is somewhat not right, but yeah, I'll just explain it to you what happened here. So we did get our research papers, but if you go to this call LLM and if you try to debug it, just a second, why is it not opening? Okay, we have our call LLM, and as you can see, all the papers were just crumbled into a string, right? For example, here are some key papers and themes was one of the papers, and evolution architecture was this other paper, but they were all jumbled in one string. I don't know if jumbled is the right word to say, but yeah, this happened. So let's just go back and fix it here. Here what we can do is we can add square brackets, a capital list, and list is imported from typing. Okay, so now we can run it again, and yeah, of course we gotta close this, otherwise that code still won't run, right? Okay, it ran well. Then this, then we can run it again and I'll show you the output this time. Let's just wait for now. Let me just close this in ctrl plus w. Yeah, okay, now we can click here. Research papers on AI agents, right? Let's add this in double quotes just for the reference. Perfect. Now as you can see, the number is here and it is just 53, right? And this is how it should have worked in the first place. We can go again to this debug and perfect. This is what we wanted. Now as you can see, here's a list that we have. Perfect, right? Now we can go. Let me just close this tab, GTR test up, right? And you will now have to stop this notebook, otherwise you won't be able to move further in the code, I guess. And they just show the same thing here, and they also tell the same to stop the web ADK. And now they are teaching us how to debug through the logs. Okay, so we can run this. So cat is basically concatenation. What this command does, it's a bash command basically, and what this does is it looks for this file, the whatever you name you enter here, it looks for the file, and it just gives you output as all the lines that are present in that file as outputs. Okay, this is what it does, and the lines are in a systematic way. Okay, so I don't know why it did not output anything. Maybe logs weren't yet stored, but yeah, it should look like this, the response by it. And other observability you can answer from log and ADK web. So yeah, this is just basically a little exercise. You can answer these questions on your own. And now we move ahead to section 3, that is logging in production. So they're providing two problem statements to us. So the first is basically you are trying to open the ADK web and the agent fails, but and the DevOps tells you that DevOps is basically a team member. It's a, you can say, position in IT sector, DevOps. So basically they just tell web ADK server web UI access isn't there, and now you are scared, how am I going to debug the production issues? And the problem statement 2 is basically that agent is running 1,000 times per day in our pipelines, and the boss just asks you which runs are slow, right? Like in 1,000 runs there must be some specific runs that are very slow, that must be causing problem to your agent, and you're basically scared, okay, I'll have to manually check all 1,000 runs now. That is so tough to do, and the solution for this, we'll be learning how to do login in production basically. And traditionally in Python functions, what we do is we just add log statements, and we are most probably going, yeah, we need to do log statements to our agent. We are going to do the same here. So first, how are we going to do this? So first, basically the explaining to you the workflow and everything, I'll just explain it to you simply. So they have a plugin. Basically what a plugin is, basically it is a custom code module that is made to like be invoked, that is being called at different stages of your agent's lifecycle. Basically you can call it when agent is created, when tool is created, when models are not created, sorry, called basically. And a plugin can have a lot of minor callbacks. For example, callbacks related to an agent could be before and after agent, related to tool could be before and after tool callback, and related to your model could be before and after model callback. Okay, and they have this amazing diagram here displaying the same that I just told you. And just to make things more concrete, what does a plugin look like? Okay, so I'll explain what they're trying to do here. So basically first they're just importing bunch of packages from the ADK, and if you want to know what these packages are, you can go to the agent development kit site. It is google.github.io/adkdocs, and you can just search here about each of the import statements. That's up to you, it will make the video a lot longer if I do it. Okay, so coming back to it, here what they are, first basically they are defining a super class. And if you are not much familiar with Python, it's okay. Basically they are just defining a bunch of variables here. Agent count, it will be an integer and default value would be 0. Total count, tool count would also be an integer with default value 0, and LLM request count will be the same 2 as above. And then we are defining a first callback, that is basically a agent callback, and that too before agent callback. Okay, now what this would do is basically when you run this before agent callback, is basically before an agent is invoked or created, this callback will run. And what it will do, this will add a +1 here. It will basically increase the count by 1, so you can keep track of the number of times the agent has ran. Okay, and same we have before model callback, that will do the same. And I guess there should have been also a tool callback, but they didn't add it here. If you want, you can add a third callback that would work for it before tool callback. It would be called a before tool callback. You can add it if you want here. And here they have a complex diagram defining it. So basically the user inputs a query into the runner that we talked about in the second and third day, and that runner basically creates two branches. The first one is the input goes and we find the research paper, and everything goes to the research paper finder agent, and then to the large language model, our LLM. And the branches that are created here is basically before going to the agent, or before agent callback is invoked, that would invoke the count invocation plugin and basically increase the count by 1. And similarly before our model also, the count will be increased for it by +1. And after this the response will come all the way here, and everything will go back to runner and we'll get the response. Okay, and ADK is built in logging plugin. Okay, so we learned two loggers so far. The first one was web UI, second one was in our code, and third is our agent development kit has a built-in built-in login plugin that you can use. You can read all of this if you want basically, but there's this random stuff. Okay, so first we have our correct count papers function here, and yep, let me just see where they are using the built-in thing. Where are they using it? Well, first let's just define the agent. Maybe they are doing this later on in the code. Define the agent, it will take quite a time. Okay, it worked. And now we are finally, now we are going to add the logging plugin to our runner. So again we'll be importing it, and this time there's a new import statement, that is our logging plugin. And as we used in our earlier Codelabs, the in-memory runner, we'll just add a new plugins plugins argument to it, input to it, and here we are submit our logging plugin, right? Let's just shift plus enter and runner configure. And now running agent with login, let's just do this. This should first run a debug, and as you can see, amazing thing, we have our loggers here. It's just they are unreadable for me. And okay, let's just do this. user message received, invocation ID and session ID, and user ID was debug user ID that we defined earlier somewhere. Okay, uh, we didn't define it, it was by default, I guess, must be the case. And yeah, that's it, I guess. You can read all the debug logs if you want. And let me just see what they're saying here. Okay, they are basically telling how they found the research paper. So now the Codelab is over. They provide a summary here, and I tried out extend the agent's observability by implementing a just a second. Okay, yeah. Improve the observability by implementing a custom ADK plugin that tracks and reports total numbers of tools and calls made during the session. Okay, so yeah, you can do this. It's pretty easy. You'll just have to make a custom ADK plugin that does this, and it's pretty easy to do that. I've did this. I'm not going to spoon feed this code. Yeah, so that was it. And if you want, you can save the version, but I wouldn't really suggest that, which is because while saving the version, right, this code cell will run, this particular code cell will run, and it will run for an indefinite amount of time, right? It will run indefinitely, and what error will it cause you is the other code cells below it won't be able to run, and yeah, you would just get an error eventually. So yeah, what if you really want this notebook, what you can do instead is you can go to this three dots, I guess. No, you have to go to files, and you can download notebook or import it, whatever you want. And yeah, let's just close it now and move to our second code lab for today. Okay, so great, our notebook is loaded. Agent evaluation, welcome to day 4. You can read all of this if you want. Let's just go to the story part. Okay, so what they're trying to say here is basically, let's just read the problem statement here. So first, week 1, agent turns on the fireplace when I asked them to turn on the lights. Okay, so what our agent is basically doing here, we are giving it commands. Imagine you are talking to a millennial person in a Gen Z lingo. They might understand some part of your wording, but then you just start doing skibidi and stuff, and they wouldn't understand your brain rot. And sorry for this thing. This example wasn't really expected by most of you, most probably, but yeah, this was the best I could think of as of now. So yeah, millennials wouldn't be able to understand it, so maybe they understand it, maybe, but not always, and that is why they might give rude responses or something else. Yeah, and that is our problem statement also. You can read this. It is basically what I explained it, but in the tech language, tech lingo. And of course, as always, if you are not on Kaggle, run this code, but we already have it set up on our Kaggle, and you can directly run this. I hope it will work. Maybe if it's check marked for us. Okay, it's not check marked, you have to do it. And rerun. And let's just move ahead, it will work eventually. Set up proxy and tunneling. Okay, so we are going to set up a proxy here to access our ADK. That is basically what we did last time. Just run this helper function, and we have been doing this for the third time, I guess, right? And run this, and let's see what they're asking us to do. Run so basically they're asking us to run another code cell after this. The agent uses a set device status tool to control smart home devices. A device status can be only on and off. Okay, so basically we are creating an agent, for example Alexa basically, but just a little part of Alexa that will handle turning on the devices and turning off them. Okay, so yeah, finally it worked. Now you can just run this and let's understand what they're trying to do. So basically we are trying to set our device's status, and device will have a location, ID, status, that would be on and off of course, and it would return a dictionary that is confirming the action. Okay, so you can read all of this code, you can read the instructions if you want, but let's just move ahead. And our proxy URL is active, but it isn't accessible yet. Let's just run this and it will be accessible. Oh, just a second. Okay, yeah, it worked. Let's go to our, and let's just see for once what they're expecting us to do here. Just a second. Do in ADK web UI, click in public, select agent, have a normal conversation. We will have a normal conversation at first, and later on do say this as a first evaluation case. Navigate, add current session, give it case name. Okay, let's just do this. Let's just come up here. We'll turn out desk lamp, and we'll go to evaluation. We'll create new evaluation test. You can name it anything. Let's just create it. And just a second. Okay, add current session. Let's just add this session into the evaluation set, and now we can evaluate it. Yep, so this is basically what they wanted us to understand. It doesn't add much knowledge to anything, but yeah, just for the fun if you want to evaluate it. And in this video also they show the same task, so yeah, if you want to do it you can it here for now. And as you can see, for now they are trying to cause a failure to it. Which they will do is basically they'll give it a unexpected, you can say, unexpected input, right? That is, desk lamp is off, but our agent was expecting us to give some order. So let's just try and see what it does now. Let's just add something new, create new, not new evil test. What we will do is we'll create a new session first. How do I do that? Just a second. Trace. How do we create a new session? Okay, new session, and here we can just type the failure input. Okay, anything else? Oh, what are responses? Fail to fetch. Why? Okay, evil, add current session, go here, and what? This is so unexpected. You evil run history. Just a second, what are they doing here? Let me just see. Okay, they also did this thing. They just came here and they tapped on this view run evil history, but it just doesn't seem to work. Let's just maybe create a new one. Okay, it's bugged. I don't know what is happening here. Go back, maybe new session, and let's just see if they're adding it to evil first or after asking. The test lamp is off. Which room is it in? Okay, and add current session. Let's call it something evil, and select this evil and run evaluation. Start, and this should run our evaluation basically. And as you can see, it failed. Now we can click on this and we can see what actual response was. I'm sorry, I cannot control the disk lamp, but it gave us an expected response. No, this was basically our expected response, but it gave us an actual response. Okay, and match score was 0.07. So it worked. Yeah, it did work. And now we have our optional to create more challenging test cases. You can do this on your own. And here they are explaining to us the web UI limitations. It's interactive, but testing one conversation of course doesn't make it a scale. So let's just close this for now, so we can run the code cells below it. Close. Yeah, stop now. And here we have a section for systematic evaluation. So what they do here is basically they're trying to tell us that our agent development kit provides us with two methods basically. First is to do automatic regression and batch testing. First is PyTest, and the second is ADK evil. You can visit these URLs to read more about it. These are basically two ply commands, the most basic explanation I have for this as of now. You'll understand what they do later on. And this is a diagram by them. You can this is something I've already explained to you, but yeah, you can, if you want to, just give it some time. So let's just create our evaluation configuration, and we have a criteria with, okay, so you remember we did have something in UI. If that URL won't work anymore, when we clicked on run evaluation we had this, right? It's working because I have not yet refreshed it, right? So yeah, we have this, and this is basically what they're doing, because our code of course cannot access UI, so they're doing it inside the code, and they're doing it with json.dump file. It is basically .dump is basically storing some stuff into a JSON file. So let's run it. Okay, evaluation. So these are just the values that we stored for now, and you can read what this evaluation is going to catch. Yeah, and yes, let's create our test cases. So basically what we were doing in the UI, that we came up to here, evil, we added our session, we selected it, we ran the evaluation. We'll basically do it inside our code for now. First we have to set an ID that we had here also, and we'll have these multiple evil cases also that we had here, and these evil cases will have session ID. Okay, they don't have session IDs here, strange, but yeah. Okay, each evil case has an evil ID. You can say there are total two evils with two evil ID, and sorry, two evil cases. Basically the evil is just one, there are two evil cases in it, and the first evil case has an evil ID, and there's user content, final response and everything, and the second one is also there. So it doesn't pose any errors as of now. Let's just run it. It won't output anything. They're basically defining here, just defining it. Yeah, now we'll have to write these cases to our JSON file. So first they are basically opening our JSON file, that is this. They're opening this file and they're dumping all the data test cases to it in our case, and then they are running a loop over the test cases, and they'll print those test cases user message, and they'll print the evil id and then the user email, sorry, user message. Let's just run it. And what are the expected results? Basic device control should pass both criteria. Wrong tool usage may fail tool trajectory if agent uses wrong parameters. Okay, these are the expected results, and we are going to experience one of these results soon. And run this command to execute evaluation. Let's execute it. Bunch of user warnings here, we can ignore them, and we move to our real world run summary. Test path 0 and both of test fails. Why? Expected tools calls were these, and the actual tool calls that happened are here, so you can read these debugs. And this is basically just how in production you are going to do everything, sorry, in development, but not in UI, of course. And analyzing sample so here we'll analyze it. Example test cases living room, and these are the configs for it, and it tells us that tool uses perfect, agent used correct tool as the 1 out of 1 agent trajectory. Response quality was but poor, as you can see it was a 0.45 out of 0.80, and root cause was agent's communication style, not functionality. Okay, the communication style, it was not familiar with the lingo, just like the millennial and the Gen Z scenario. And this is the section 5, basically user simulation optional. While traditional evaluation, I didn't read this, I'll be reading this with you. While traditional evaluation methods rely on fixed cases, real world conversations, just a second. Yeah. Real world conversations are dynamic and unpredictable. This is where user simulation comes in handy. User simulation, okay. So basically what they're saying here is, if you have ever used ChatGPT or any uh, what do we call it, chatbots or whatever you can call it, if you have used those models, you must see sometimes you get some interface where they provide basically two of the you can call it outputs, first one on the left side and the other one on the right side, and they just ask you which one is better, right? So basically that is a feedback system, okay, but we can take it as an example. So basically our user gave it some input probably, and for evaluation or testing purposes of that input, our agent gave it two different responses, and the most preferred one will be preferred from now on. Okay, and you can read this example here, and this exercise, now that you understand the power of user simulation, is apply the user simulation feature to define a conversation solution scenario. Okay, so I have done this exercise. I didn't read this basically, but I was able to do this exercise. So yeah, just in case if you need a solution to this exercise, let me know in the comments box. I'll upload a video on this, but I don't think you should do it you should do it on your own. Okay, and of course for any help and anything, you can visit to their agent development kit right here, that is google.github.io adk docs. You can visit it, and you can also just click on this specific link to just go to the direct page right here, and you can come up to here, and what they're asking us to build conversation scenario, right? You can come here, you can also search for this, but yeah, let's just search for it, user simulation conversation scenario. Okay, we landed at the same page whatsoever. You can read all of this. To use this feature you must specify a blah blah blah. You can read and build it. I've already built one, so yeah, I don't need it anymore. And yep, that's it. We are done with our day 4 assignment, and tomorrow we'll be receiving the last assignment, that is day 5, and yep, that will be the end of this series, I guess. Yeah, that will be the end of it. Yep, so thanks for watching this video, and if you loved it, please let me know in the comments box, and yeah, just let me know. Yeah, see ya.